Welcome to Simplified UPSC by PPP, where we listen, learn, and grow together. Detailed lecture notes in English and Hindi, plus practice questions for prelims and mains, only on our Telegram channel. Link in description. Like and subscribe for more.
Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're here, you're looking for that real edge in your preparation. Not just facts, but the deep foundational understanding you need.
Exactly.
Today, we are diving right into the bedrock of biology, focusing on those NCERT fundamentals. Things like, cellular processes, the rules of classification.
And our mission here is really laser focused on you, especially if you're preparing for high-stakes exams like the UPSC. We're going to move way past rote memorization.
Right.
We're distilling these core concepts and, crucially, linking them directly to the kinds of analytical questions you're actually going to face. It's about showing you why these facts matter.
The mechanism behind the questions, I love that. Now, before we jump in, just a quick word on how you can support this whole project.
Yes, please.
To everyone who is already a valued member of our paid community on YouTube, a huge thank you. Seriously. Your support is what lets us put in the hours to create these deep dives.
We genuinely couldn't do it without you. And if you're listening and finding this valuable, please just take a moment. Go on, subscribe to the deep dive.
It helps a lot.
It really does. And if you're in a position to, consider joining that paid membership on YouTube. Even a simple like on the video and sharing a valuable comment helps us tremendously.
It ensures this resource keeps going for everyone.
Oh.
Okay, let's get into it. The very basics. What does it even mean for something to be living?
When the core texts define life, what are the, say, top 3 characteristics?
Right, so there are a few, but 3 really stand out as essential. The first is growth.
Growth, okay.
And that's defined as an increase in both mass and number. But here's the nuance that they love to test.
Okay.
Growth through cell division is, continuous throughout a plant's entire life. That's indeterminate growth.
Well, hold on. What about animals? I mean, our skin cells and blood cells are constantly turning over.
Yeah.
How does that fit into the definition if growth only happens up to a certain age? That is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
And it gets right to the heart of a potential exam trap.
I thought so.
While that cell replacement and repair is continuous in animals, the overall increase in mass and number, the thing that defines the organism's size, that kind of growth is generally limited to a juvenile period.
I see. So it's the overall increase in size that's the key distinction.
Precisely. That's what separates it from the continuous growth pattern in plants. Okay, so second definitive feature.
What is it?
Metabolism. This is the sum total of all the chemical reactions happening inside an organism at any given moment. Thousands of them.
And this leads to a really important distinction, right, about lab experiments.
Yes. The sources are very clear on this. A metabolic reaction done in vitro, say in a test tube, is definitely a living reaction. It's a chemical process of life.
But it's not life itself.
Exactly. And why not? Because to be a life form, you must have cellular organization.
Oh, integrated system?
That's it. Think of it like an engine. You can run a car engine on a test bench. It works. Its processes are functional. But that doesn't make the engine a car.
Great analogy. The cellular organization is what makes it an organism.
It's the non-negotiable definitive feature.
Okay, so growth, metabolism. What's the third one?
Consciousness. The ability to, sense the environment and respond to it. Light, water, pollutants, a predator.
Right.
But there's a level above that. The sources specifically highlight self-consciousness, that unique awareness of self as the defining property of human beings.
Okay, so once we've defined what's living, we have to organize it all. This brings us to taxonomy. We hear the term taxa a lot.
Right, and a taxon is just a category, but it can be at really different levels. Plants is a taxon, wheat is a taxon, animals, dog, they're all taxa.
So what's the key principle to remember about the hierarchy as we go up from, say, species to kingdom?
This is a golden rule for exams. As you go higher up that ladder, from species toward kingdom, the number of common characteristics shared between the members of that group gets smaller and smaller.
It decreases.
It progressively decreases. A species has the most in common. A kingdom, which is vast, has the fewest. They will absolutely test you on that principle.
And this is where this deep dive really pays off, I think. Taking those definitions and linking them straight to previous year questions. Let's start with biofertilizers. We see questions about which organisms are used.
A very practical application. Let's take a case. The question asks which of these agaricus, nostoc, or spirogyra are used as biofertilizers.
Okay.
The precise nugget you need from the source text is that nostoc is a cyanobacterium. a blue-green algae.
And why is that the key? Why nostoc?
It all comes down to its function. Nostoc can fix atmospheric nitrogen.
Which is unusable by most plants directly.
Exactly. N2 is inert. Nostoc has these specialized thick-walled cells called heterocysts, and inside these cells it can perform nitrogen fixation. Knowing that specific example, Nostoc, as an N2 fixer, is the link that solves the question.
It shows you know the biology, not just the name.
That's it. Now let's pivot from soil to food preservation. Why does cold storage make fruits last longer?
Right, another common application question.
So when you pick a fruit, it doesn't just die. Its cells enter a rapid aging phase called senescence. To prolong its life, we have to slow down the metabolic activity of ripening.
And what process are we actually slowing down?
We're targeting respiration. And the main actor here is a plant growth regulator, a gas called ethylene.
Ah, ethylene, the ripening hormone.
The very same. It's known to dramatically increase the respiration rate during ripening. It causes that metabolic surge. That's why growers use it to ripen bananas or tomatoes all at once for the market.
So cold storage, or
Yeah.
increasing the CO2 in the room, is basically hitting the brakes on that ethylene-driven process.
You've got it. Cold slows down all the enzymes, which reduces respiration. More CO2 also inhibits ethylene's action. You slow that whole pathway down, you delay senescence, and the fruit lasts longer. It's direct metabolic control.
Okay, since energy is so central, let's drill down into respiration itself. We need to map out the steps, crucially paying attention to where each step happens in the cell.
Absolutely. So the definition first. Cellular respiration is just the controlled breaking of carbon bonds in molecules, like glucose, to release energy.
And while carbs are the usual fuel.
The system is flexible. It can also use proteins, fats, even organic acids if it has to.
So where does it all kick off?
It starts out in the cytoplasm, the main floor of the cell, and the process is called glycolysis.
And this part doesn't need oxygen, right?
Correct. It's anaerobic. It
Yeah.
takes one glucose molecule and splits it into 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. That's the universal first step.
So once you have that pyruvate, what happens next to get the big energy payoff?
Well, assuming oxygen is available, so aerobic respiration, that pyruvate gets shipped into the mitochondria, the cell's power plants.
And that's where the real action is.
That's where the heavy lifting happens. You get the complete oxidation of pyruvate. The hydrogen atoms are stripped off, CO2 is released.
And those hydrogens carry high-energy electrons. How does the cell cash those in for ATP?
That's the job of the electron transport system, or ETS. Think of it like a cascade or a series of tiny waterfalls, carefully releasing the energy in steps.
Okay. And where is the system located?
This is a critical detail. It's located on the inner mitochondrial membrane.
Not just in the mitochondria, but specifically on that inner membrane.
That's the level of detail you need. And at the very end of this electron relay race, something has to catch them.
The final acceptor.
And that final electron acceptor is molecular oxygen, O2. If there's no oxygen, the whole chain gets backed up and stops.
So oxygen grabs the electrons, combines with hydrogen.
And forms water, H2O. And it's that controlled flow of electrons that powers the synthesis of a huge amount of ATP. The process is called oxidative phosphorylation.
Let's shift back to the whole plant. Let's talk about transport. The difference between how water moves and how food moves is a classic exam topic.
It really is. Let's start with the xylem. Its job is to move water and minerals up from the roots.
And that flow is pretty simple, isn't it?
For the most part, yes. It's almost always unidirectional, just upwards, from the roots through the stem to the leaves. Think of it like a city's water pipes. It's a one-way flow.
Okay, that makes sense. But the phloem, which moves the food, the sugars, that's more complex.
Much more. Phloem transport is bidirectional
Wow.
because the relationship between the source, where sugar is made, like a mature leaf, and the sink, where sugar is used, like a new bud or a storage root, is variable.
So if a new flower at the top of the plant needs energy.
The flow is upward. But if the plant is storing energy in its roots for winter, the flow is downward. The phloem is like a dynamic delivery service, changing routes based on need.
Got it. And just quickly, when water first enters the roots, the sources mention 2 different pathways it can take.
Yes, the Apoplast and the Symplast pathways.
What's the quick difference?
The Apoplast pathway is movement through the non-living cell walls. It's a continuous system. The Symplast pathway, on the other hand, is movement through the living cytoplasm of the cells, connected by little channels.
Now, a good test taker knows that these exams love to mix subjects. They don't keep biology in a neat little box.
Absolutely not. You have to connect it to geography, ecology, you name it.
The sources gave some great examples, like linking national parks Corbett, Kaziranga, Silent Valley to the rivers that run through them.
Right. And it's not just memorizing pairs. Corbett and the Ganga system, Kaziranga and the Manas, which is part of the Brahmaputra. It's about understanding the ecological dependence.
The park exists because of the river.
Exactly. The entire biome, the rhinos in Kaziranga, they depend on the floodplains created by that river system. It's conservation and geography, totally intertwined.
Okay, one more. Biology and oceanography, the best fishing grounds in the world.
A classic crossover fact. The sources state that the most important fishing grounds are found where warm and cold oceanic currents meet.
And there's a biological reason for that. It's not just a coincidence.
Not at all. When those currents meet, you often get upwelling. Deep, cold, nutrient-rich water is forced to the surface.
Nutrients like nitrates and phosphates.
Yes, from all the decayed matter at the bottom of the ocean. Those nutrients hit the sunlit surface and fuel a massive bloom of plankton.
Which is the base of the entire marine food web.
And that's what supports the huge fish populations. It's physics driving chemistry, which in turn drives the biology. So to bring this all home, these foundational insert facts, they really are the bedrock. Whether it's knowing that cellular organization is the key feature of life or that phloem transport is bidirectional, these are the tools you need.
They're the tools that let you deconstruct those tough application questions on the exam.
That is the strategic advantage.
Exactly. Okay, so here's a final thought for you to chew on, building right off our discussion on respiration. If we can slow down respiration to make a harvested fruit last longer, what unseen cellular processes are happening inside a seed that's dormant for years, just waiting for the right conditions? Is its respiration just paused? Or is it running at some unimaginably slow maintenance rate, just enough to stay alive?
A fascinating question about the absolute lower limits of energy for life. Something to ponder.
And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive. A massive heartfelt thank you once again to all of our existing members. Your support is what makes this possible.
It truly is. And if you're new and you got real value out of this, please subscribe. And if you can, consider joining our paid membership on YouTube. And of course, like this deep dive and share a valuable comment. It all helps.
We'll catch you on the next dive.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Telegram and Instagram. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.